The Greek gods. Thousands and thousands of years ago, there were Greeks, the ancient Greeks. They believed in gods. There were thousands or hundreds and hundreds of them. But out of all of them, the 12 Olympians were the most powerful. Well, we don't have time to explain all of them, but we'll explain 6 of them. These 6 were the children of Kronos. The first one, well, the leader of them, Zeus. Zeus was the god of the sky. He got this title because he beat his 2 other brothers in like a roll of the dice, and he got the highest roll. So he picked the sky, the most powerful domain. And because of this, he thought he was the best thing ever, even though he really wasn't. And one day, he thought he might go marry Hera, who was his sister, which is weird, but back then it was different. So Hera told him if she could make him say that she loved him, then she would marry him. So what he did was very clever. Late that night, a storm raged on, and a little bird flew into Hera's room. Hera noticed that the bird had broken its wing, so she looked after it and made it better. And the next day, she was talking to the bird, strangely, and she even told the bird that she loved it, which only meant one thing. The bird was Zeus. It transformed back into Zeus, and Hera was embarrassed, but she made the promise. But she did promise him to never see anyone behind her back, otherwise she'd be angry. But Zeus obviously had to break that rule. That's enough of him, though. Poseidon was his brother, god of the sea. Poseidon, he was more calm. He just sort of lived at the bottom of the ocean. He occasionally fought battles, but he didn't do much. I mean, he did a lot. But one thing he wanted to be was the patron god of Athens. Well, it wasn't called Athens at the time, but he wanted to be the patron god of that city. But Athena had the exact same idea, and both of them were competing against each other for Athens. So the Athenians told them if they could both make a gift that was good enough, and the best one would mean that the god who created it would be the patron god. So Poseidon didn't know what to do. He looked all around him, and suddenly he saw waves rolling, and he figured he could make an animal out of them, which is how he created horses. So he shaped the horses out of the waves and saw how fast they went, so he made the horses fast. He explained to the Athenians that the horses could run really fast, would be excellent in war, and could carry a heavy load too. Athena, on the other hand, had a much better idea. She created a small plant with little green balls. She called it the olive tree. And she said this olive tree was very special because it could be a replacement for salt. As well as that, the terrain around Athens was very good for this sort of tree. And as well as that, they could trade it for things that they need more with towns that don't have salt. So naturally, the Athenians really wanted to make money, so they chose Athena, which is why Athens is actually called Athens, because it's named after Athena. Anyway, Hades is next. Hades was gloomy. He was, well, god of the underworld, which is god of land of the dead. He didn't have much. He never really went to see any of his other brothers and sisters or the rest of the Olympians because he was banished. He wasn't an Olympian. He did nothing wrong, but just the other gods didn't like him. Totally unfair. Anyway, he did want one thing though, and it was love. And he saw Demeter's daughter, Persephone. Persephone was, she was the god of flowers. That's what the stories say. And so Hades decided he wanted to kidnap her. Obviously, he couldn't do that without anyone's permission. And obviously, Demeter wouldn't let him do it. So he went to Zeus. Zeus had so many children already, he probably didn't even know who she was. But he said yeah. So they agreed to it. So Hades technically had permission now to kidnap Persephone. And that's exactly what he did. He abducted her by opening the ground and making her fall in, which sounds brutal, but it was just like that. And Persephone arrived in the underworld terrified, and her mother Demeter wasn't happy about it. She made all the plants die, which means people were dying left and right. People didn't have water. People didn't have wheat, no flowers, no bread, nothing. And Persephone couldn't go. Well, Hades wasn't letting her go. If Persephone ate anything in the underworld too, she would be forced to stay there forever. One day, though, Persephone was starving, and she decided to visit the gardens, and it was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. The exotic plants, they were cold, deadly plants like nightshade. Then she saw a pomegranate tree, and saw how delicious they looked, and she hadn't eaten in ages. So she picked a pomegranate and broke it open. She decided only to eat 7 seeds, because that was nothing. And that's what she did. Unfortunately, though, Hades caught her. Well, he didn't actually catch her. The gardener, Ascalaphos, he ratted her out to Hades, which means he got blasted to smithereens. But that meant Persephone was now Hades. Luckily for Demeter, because she only ate 7 seeds, she was only allowed to stay in the underworld for 4 to 6 months, which is how we have winter, which is why Demeter's mourning, because her daughter's away. But that's also why we have summer, which is when she's reunited with her daughter and she's away from the underworld. Well, now it's time for Hera. Hera was the goddess of motherhood. She was also Zeus's wife, but you already knew that. One day, though, they were having a dinner party for the first ever mortal who found out that you could kill other mortals in battle. This was a guy called Ixion, and he thought he was the best person ever. So what he decided to do? Well, he thought he'd try kissing Hera. And obviously that was stupid, because Zeus was there. So he found Hera when she was alone and tried to kiss her. But she ran away as fast as she could and told Zeus. Zeus, though, he had to make sure, he actually was trying to kiss her. Because otherwise that could mean he would have just killed somebody, without him doing anything badly. So what he did, he created a fake Hera, one out of the clouds. And so, as expected, she let Ixion kiss her. The very next day, to the god's surprise, Ixion was still at Mount Olympus. But this time he was boasting about how Hera called him the best god ever, and she was going to make him immortal now so he could stay there forever.